Hey everybody, Teresa here from Inspiration Cards, and it's a new month. April is here, which means I'm back with a new online Stamp Jammies card class, and this month I'm featuring the Dahlia Days stamp set. I've been having so much fun crafting with this stamp set, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So let's flip this around and get started. So here's our first card for this month's class. This month I'm using the Dahlia Days stamp set, as I mentioned, and our main color is going to be Pale Papaya. I just love this color from the most recent in colors, and I hope you like this color too. So what we're going to need for this week's card is going to look a little something like this from your class supplies. So we've got a large piece of Pale Papaya cardstock, so just half a sheet of 8.5 by 11. You'll have two large pieces of Very Vanilla. So I went with Very Vanilla on this one instead of Basic White. One will have a little stitched rectangle cut out of it. And then you'll also have the stitched rectangle itself, along with a piece of Pale Papaya. So two pieces, and then one more little piece of Very Vanilla. All right, so let's get this off the side so we can get at this card base here. All right, so I always like to start off and just get my card base folded in half. So I'm gonna use my bone folder, get that nice crisp, clean fold. There we go. Set that off to the side, and you're gonna grab your large piece of Very Vanilla that's completely intact, the whole piece of Very Vanilla. And on the inside, you can put whatever you want. You can put a little image like I did here, or you can add in a phrase. It's completely up to you. So the other color that I'm using with this week's card is Granny Apple Green. And I'm going to stick with what I did on my original there and just add the 3-leaf image on the inside. I like to bring both colors onto the inside of the card, so that way you see them on both the inside and the outside. So just gently tap that on your ink pad, and voila, there we go. All right, so I'm going to set that aside to dry, and I'm going to close that up just for a minute. Okay, and we're going to grab, so both pieces of this Very Vanilla that has the stitching on it. So this is just the stitched rectangle dies. And we're stamping it this way on purpose. So we're going to get our Very Vanilla, and we're going to start with the large Dahlia bloom. Here we go. And this is just going to get stamped randomly on your cardstock. I did it 3 times here on my original, and I'm going to stick with that. Here we go. So just make sure that's nice and covered. There we go. And here we go. I'm just going to rotate that a little bit. I like to rotate my images so they look a little bit different. Even if it is the same image, sometimes just rotating it that little bit just adds a little extra visual interest. So there we go. All right, so we still have lots of space. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in a few of the, you can pick which one. There's 2 to pick from. I'm actually going to pick this guy this time. Just one of the small blooms. Here we go. And again, with the Pale Papaya, we're just going to work at filling in some of those spaces. Here we go. And again, just, switching up where it goes, switching up the angle, rotating the image, right? Just gives that little extra bit of visual interest. And I always like to stamp in odd numbers. Again, just helps with catching people's interest. All right, so we're going to bring back in our Granny Apple Green and that 3-leaf image. Here we go. Just stick that right on there. All right, and so now we can see what gaps we have left, and we can work at filling those in even more. And again, just rotating the image. I'm trying to keep in mind that we're going to actually have a phrase going in here as well. There we go. Do one more right here in the corner. There we go. So it's nicely filled in, almost looks like a little bit of pattern paper, designer series paper. So let's close this guy up, get that out of the way. And we're going to set these guys aside to dry. And now what you're going to want is that itty bitty piece of Very Vanilla. And I think I was thinking of Mother's Day when I was making this card. So I used the To an Amazing Woman. Part of why I love this stamp set, not just because the images are so pretty and do give that little bit of extra kind of dimension to them. There's just a little bit of, right, a little bit of something extra to these images. But the phrases in here are so nice and make this really nice, versatile set. All right, so if you want to get a little bit of a bigger piece of Very Vanilla, and then what you can do is you can use one of the smaller stitched rectangle dies to cut that out, so it kind of falls in with that theme of the stitched rectangles that we've got going for this. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to tuck that up here to dry, and while that dries, let's put these guys together here. All right, so from here we're going to take our large whole piece of Very Vanilla. I'm just going to grab your, whether it's tape runner or multi-purpose liquid glue. In my case, I'm using a little bit of the Stamp and Seal Plus. Still getting the hang of this one. I don't use this one as much as my Stamp and Seal. All right. But I definitely do like the new adhesives that Stampin' Up! Has come out with. They're definitely a lot stronger than some of the stuff that I've used before. All right, so here we go. Oh, and it looks like there was a little ink on my mat here. That's okay. You can cover that up with the note that we're going to write on the inside. All right, so there we go. There's our inside. And now we're going to get the frame, the outer piece. And again, just going to stick that bit of adhesive on the back. There we go. Okay. Making sure I got all my points covered. Making sure I have my frame the way I want it. There we go. And so this time around, I'm actually not using a card mat. So I'm not using an extra layer of, in this case, you know, Granny Apple Green behind this piece here. Can do that if you like. All right, so now we're gonna stick our little piece. I'm gonna give it just give it a little bit of a border. Go. And again, just making sure that you're lining this up so that it falls in line with your border there that we've already stuck on. There we go. All right, and this will be nice and dry as well. So this is just going to go right on top. All right, and these are going to go on with some Stampin' Dimensionals. So I'm just going to flip that over. Here we go. And let's just grab those papers off the back. Again, making sure you line this up and making sure you cover up the hole that you cut from the original stitched die. Oops. There we go. This got stuck down a little sooner than I had wanted. There we go. There we go. And then on this, we're going to add 1 dimensional off to the side here. And then a little bit of the Seal Plus or whatever adhesive you've got. So we're going to have this corner is going to overlap with our images up here. There we go. And of course, can't forget to add some bling. So I'm just going to scoop up a few rhinestone basic jewels here. Here we go. I'm going to add one next to my phrase here. All right, this one's playing games today. All right, there we go. And again, keeping with the idea of odd numbers. And also, you know, there are a few, they're not big gaps, but there are still some there. So this kind of helps fill some of those in a little bit. If you want to add a little more, go. And we're going to do one more. And we're just going to pick this one up. And stick that up in that top corner there. There you go. And as always, I do have another sample showing off the same stamp set. So this is using the Dahlia Days stamp set as well as the coordinating dies, the Delightful Dahlia's dies, I believe is what they're called. This is one that I made for a recent Papercraft Crew vertical sketch challenge. I love joining in on these every once in a while. And this was a fun one. So this one's using Petal Pink and Pear Pizzazz as my green. And so I've just used the dies to cut out some of the blooms and I popped them up with some dimensionals. And of course, my little bit of bling, I just added one of the little pearls to the center of each of my smallest flowers there. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this week's cards, and I'll be back next week with our second card for this month's Stamp Jammies card class featuring the Dahlia Days stamp set. Now, next month, May, I'm going to be featuring the A Good Man stamp set, and I'm sad to say that this one is retiring. But I can still get it, you know, while the annual catalog is still here. So you can still participate if you want the full class kit for $75, which includes the stamp set, 1 ink pad, and some of the In Good Taste Designer Series paper, which is, of course, also retiring. It's a very sad time of year for us demonstrators. All right. In the meantime, you can ask me any questions by dropping a comment below or sending me an email at inspirationwiththeresa@gmail.com. I'm happy to answer any of your questions about Stampin' Up, Paper Pumpkin, or just scrapbooking and paper crafting in general. I'm happy to answer any questions. All right. And you can check out all my other projects on social. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram, both under Inspiration Cards. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you guys soon.